My name is Melissa Miner, and I will be speaking with you today about a national plan for autism. We are a country where 3 million Americans and rising are unable to even take care of themselves. These are individuals that are unable to dress themselves, they cannot interact with others, they're unable to express themselves, eat independently, unable to judge real danger or the temperature, and unable to pick up the phone and call for help. With this speech, I will be persuading you today on how crucial it is that a national plan must be put in place for individuals that are diagnosed with autism. If we fail to do this, we will be looking at a monumental health crisis due to the rate that autism prevalence figures are growing. I am familiar with the effects and problems that are associated with autism because my nephew Freddie was diagnosed with this developmental disorder 3 years ago. I will discuss with you today what autism is, how it is diagnosed, how it is treated, and why we need a national plan set in place. To start off, I will explain what autism is. Autism is a developmental disorder of the way that the brain develops in varying degrees and can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges. Autism spectrum disorder is now on the rise, with 1 in 68 American children being diagnosed. Autism is 4 to 5 times more common among boys than it is girls. An estimated 1 out of 42 boys and 1 in 189 girls are diagnosed with autism in the United States today. This disorder affects tens of millions worldwide and over 3 million individuals in America alone. The prevalence rates of autism have increased 10 to 17% in recent years. Autism is a serious, lifelong, and disabling condition. Without the right support, it can have a profound, sometimes devastating effect on individuals and families. There is nothing about how people with autism look that sets them apart from the rest of the population. Instead, they may communicate, interact, behave, and learn in ways that are different from the rest of the population. Yet every individual is unique, and some have exceptional abilities in visual skills, music, and academic skills. Now, there are 3 main areas of difficulty, which all people with autism share, that are sometimes known as the triad of impairments. The first area of difficulty is with social communication that involves verbal and nonverbal language. Many individuals have a literal understanding of language, which means that they think people mean exactly what they say. They are unable to understand facial expressions, tones of voice, jokes, or sarcasm. Some people with autism are unable to speak at all or have a fairly limited amount of speech. The second area of difficulty consists of difficulty with social interaction, which means that they are unable to recognize or understand emotions or feelings, social norms, and they are unable to form relationships with others. The third area of difficulty is with the social imagination and repetitive behaviors. Social imagination is what allows us to understand other people's behaviors, make sense of abstract ideas, and to imagine situations outside of our daily lives. This makes it difficult for people with autism to understand concepts of danger, unable to cope with new or unfamiliar situations, or even plan for their future. Next, I will talk about how autism is diagnosed. Now, diagnosing a child with autism spectrum disorder can be difficult because there is no medical test, like a blood test, to be able to diagnose the disorder. Autism can even be a hidden disability to where you can't even tell sometimes if a person has it. A physician needs to actually look at the child's behavior and development to be able to make a diagnosis. Most signs and symptoms emerge between the ages of 2 to 3 years of age. Yet sometimes Autism can be detected at 18 months or younger. Yet the average age of diagnosis in the United States remains stalled at 5.3 years. There are two steps in diagnosing a child as an autistic. The first step is where we conduct a developmental screening, which is to make sure that they're learning basic skills and they do not have any delays. And if they do have a delay in a certain area, this could indicate a problem. This screening usually takes place during a child's well-being visit. The second step is done through a comprehensive diagnostic evaluation, which can consist of a hearing and vision test, genetic screening, neurological testing, and evaluating a child's behavior and development. Parents usually will start to notice any unusual behavior with their child. They may fail to make eye contact with them, they do not respond to their name, they don't have any big smiles or joyful expressions on their face, and they are actually nonverbal and have no words by 16 months. So now let's talk about treatments that are available for autism. There is no cure for autism because it is not a disease. And since there is not one type of autism, there is not one form of treatment that works. Instead, an autism intervention plan needs to be created and catered to the specific needs of each child. Intervention can include behavioral treatments, medicine, diet and nutrition, or complementary therapies. Behavioral treatments help in improving communication, learning adaptive behavior, and acceptable social behavior while reducing any behaviors they may have that make the child different. Medication is taken to help any behavioral symptoms such as hyperactivity, attention difficulties, and anxiety. These medications are given to lessen these symptoms so that they can benefit from the behavioral treatments. Many parents have also found that placing their child on a gluten-free, casein-free diet that removes all wheat protein and milk protein will relieve many of the symptoms associated with autism spectrum disorder. The complementary therapies include art therapy, music therapy, animal therapy, and sensory integration therapy. These are therapies that provide a child the chance to develop social and communication skills, along with providing enjoyment to the child. All individuals with autism have difficulty with social interaction. They have trouble with other people's emotions. They cannot discern what is appropriate conversation topics or public behavior. They're unable to recognize or understand their own feelings and needs. And because of this, it makes it very difficult for them to make friends or to even be able to obtain and maintain employment. So finally, let us discuss what needs to be done to put a national plan in place. Since autism now affects a large number of individuals at the same time, it can now be considered an epidemic in the United States. We need to have a national plan put in place to be able to resolve many of the important issues regarding treatments, housing and jobs, insurance coverage for medical treatments, a plan that addresses wandering, and the education system. There is also a huge burden being placed on families to provide care for their loved ones. The cost in the United States is $126 billion annually, and the cost for an individual in the United States for their lifetime is $1.4 to $2.3 million. Most of these costs are actually incurred during adulthood. And this is due to the cost of residential care because these services for adults are both lacking and very expensive. There's also the cost of the loss of productivity and underemployment and unemployment. According to the United Nations, the unemployment rate of adults on the autism spectrum is estimated to be more than 80%. The United Nations has implemented a call to action as an appeal to employers to commit to offering employment opportunities for individuals on the autism spectrum. They're hoping by doing this that employers will use this to be able to tap into the largely untapped talent pool. And in conclusion, autism spectrum disorder is the fastest growing developmental disorder in the United States, and it has no medical cure or detection. This year, more children will be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder than diabetes, AIDS, and cancer combined. Children from all economic and racial backgrounds are affected equally. In the next decade, we are expected to have 500,000 individuals thrown into society who may not even know how to survive. The time is now for us to put a call of action to have a national plan put in place. This way, we will be able to meet the large demand that is ahead of us for supportive services, housing, insurance coverage, and in employment for these autistic individuals. If we fail to find a solution for this epidemic that we will be soon facing, we then will be looking at a monumental health crisis. And I would like to say thank you for taking the time today to learn more about why it is important that everybody tell someone why a national plan for autism is so important.